Hello Summoners and welcome back to another ProGuides upcoming changes video. My name is Christoph and today I'll be going over all the changes that are hitting the Rift in patch 10.3. This is a gigantic patch and there are a ton of changes coming to some of your favorite champions like Echo, Set, Diana, Akali, Miss Fortune, Senna, and Aphelios. And so many more, so stay tuned until the very end. Also, a quick ProGuides announcement. We have actually built a studio for our new videos. We're going to be recording in front of this cool set right here, starting very soon, so you'll see a face reveal from all of us coming in the next week. And as always with this series, please do keep in mind that nothing is set in stone and changes can be made before 10.3 hits the live servers. And also today's question of the day is, what changes would you like to see come up in future patches? I really want to see a new Camille skin, to be honest. I've been saying this for a while now. Let us know all your comments and answers down below. And also before we get started, if you guys want to climb this season, then go get your challenger coach right now at ProGuides.com. All you have to do is click the link below and select your coach. You'll be thrown into a game with them and they'll teach you exactly what you need to do to win your games. Players like Night Blue, BoxBox, Loco Doco, and Double If support ProGuides. So what are you waiting for? Click the link below and start improving right now. So to kick things off, let's cover a few new skins that are joining the Rift next patch. Firstly, we have two new additions to the Heartseeker skin line, which features Yumi and Jinx. Super cute. Next up, we have another Louis Vuitton Prestige Edition skin coming for True Damage Senna. This skin looks so amazing, and I can't wait to purchase it this next patch. I honestly love the True Damage skin line, and I'm glad they're making another Louis Vuitton version. Now, with all that being said, let's jump right into the balance changes. Starting off with the top lane. Now that Set has been released for a few weeks, it's become really clear that he's completely overpowered. Although his kit does have clear weaknesses with room for counterplay, his numbers are just off the charts right now, and he'll be toned down in patch 10.3. Thank God. I've been playing against this guy for the past week, and I've just been getting demolished. He's a permaban for me. Firstly, his base HP regen will be lowered from 9.25 to 8. Next up, his W cooldown will be increased from 16 to 8 seconds to 18 to 12 seconds, and the damage on this ability will be nerfed by 20 during the mid to late game. These nerfs are very small and will only impact his stance in the meta by a tiny bit. However, it is likely that he will receive some more nerfs in the next few weeks, so hit that sub button to stay notified of all the changes. Ever since her rework, Akali has been one of the most unbalanceable champions in the game. Her history of changes have been completely hit or miss, and a lot of players are getting fed up with the constant buffs and nerfs. For patch 10.3, Akali will be receiving some heavy nerfs to lower her dominance in the current meta. Firstly, her Q, 5-point strike, will have its energy cost increased by 20 at all ranks. Next up, her W, Twilight Shroud, will have its movement speed bonus nerfed from 20% to 40% flat, to 30 to 50% decaying over 2 seconds on cast. And lastly, her ultimate Perfect Execution will no longer be a skill shot, but instead be a point-and-click targeted ability. Overall, these changes are aimed at nerfing two of Akali's greatest strengths. Firstly, her wave clear, and then her safety. Having her ultimate be a point-and-click will eliminate her ability to use it for escaping ganks. Honestly, these nerfs are pretty big, and they will leave a mark on her win rate next patch. Let us know your thoughts about these changes below. Our analysts are interested in what you guys think. Although you don't see Rumble being played too often in lower elos, he's actually been dominating the top lane meta in Grandmasters and Challenger. And because he's been so problematic in the highest levels of solo queue, he will be nerfed this patch. Firstly, his W will have its movement speed nerfed from 20 to 40% with 30 to 60 enhanced, to 15 to 35% with 22.5 to 52.5 enhanced. In addition to this, the shield will also be nerfed from 80 to 200 to 60 to 200. These nerfs will impact his win rate, and he will definitely feel weaker next patch. However, these changes were needed because Rumble was starting to see a lot of play in top, mid, support, and jungle, which would have become an even bigger issue. The Wukong rework is still in progress and will not be released in patch 10.3. However, we will keep you guys updated on when this rework will hit the live servers, so hit that sub button to stay in the loop. Next up, we have the jungle changes. At the start of the preseason, junglers received a ton of heavy nerfs toward their XP efficiency. All jungle mains know this, and it's hard for you guys. I'm really sorry. Due to these changes, jungle has pretty much become one of the worst roles in the game because you'll always be behind. In fact, junglers in pro play have become so useless that they're literally falling 4 to 5 levels behind their solo laners for just by playing the game. For patch 10.3, the Balance team are buffing jungle XP to help make this role a bit more competitive. They're adding back around 20 XP per minute from 4 to 18 minutes, which is just about half of what junglers lost. Also, they're using the Monster Hunter buff to enable this so that junglers farm after the laning phase. This is to prevent pro junglers from completely ignoring camps after the 18-minute mark. Next up, Krugs will be buffed, but the XP and gold will be spread more evenly amongst the large, medium, and small Krugs. And lastly, the red and blue buff will have its XP nerfed by a small amount, but the XP level scaling on all camps will be increased by a small amount from levels 1 to 7. Overall, these buffs are very, very small and probably won't be enough to bring jungle back to its prime. However, buffs are welcome nonetheless, and I'm glad the Balance team have made these changes. Echo has been receiving a ton of major buffs in the past few months and has been completely untouched despite his solo queue dominance. His damage is just way too overtuned right now and was long overdue for a nerf. For patch 10.3, Echo will have his attack speed nerfed from 6.88 to 6.25, and his W stun duration lowered from 2.25 seconds to 2 seconds flat. These nerfs are very small, and he'll likely be an S or S+ tier champion in 2 different roles next patch. One of his biggest strengths right now is his insane amount of burst damage with low mana cost and pretty much no cooldowns. Sejuani's been a heavy favorite for nerfs during the past season. This is mainly due to her dominance in pro play, which has inevitably led her to a lot of changes. However, Sejuani will receive a few buffs next patch to bring her back into the meta. First up, her attack speed bonus at level 1 will be increased by 10%. That's a massive amount for someone like Sejuani. However, her passive will now fall off after hits from small monsters. Honestly though, that 10% attack speed will bring her back into the meta for sure. Sejuani was already playable in solo queue thanks to the buff she received last patch, but these ones will be the ones that bring her back into competitive. Sorry, Yankos. Alright, now let's run it down mid. Ever since her rework, Diana's been one of the strongest mid laners in the game. Her ability to have solo kill presence pre-6, while also having a game-changing ultimate has made her a bit too overpowered. In order to keep Diana in check, the Balance team will be changing her base mana from 420 to 375. On top of that, her W base damage will be lowered from 22 to 70 to 18 to 66. The nerfs to her W is completely negligible, but the base mana nerf will impact her early game by a bit. However, you won't notice these nerfs once you purchase your Rod of Ages, and she'll still be able to one-shot your entire team with one button. Despite a few buffs in the past few weeks, Azir has been continuing to struggle in the meta. In patch 10.3, he will receive a small buff to his ultimate, which will now summon 6 to 8 soldiers instead of 5 to 7. This is a small buff, but it's going to make those Shurima shuffles a lot more satisfying. Next up on the list, we have another buff coming to my old main, Corki. For patch 10.3, Corki will now have his special delivery damage per second increased by a gigantic amount. In addition to this, the DOT duration you get when you knock back enemies aside will be increased from 1 second to 1.5 seconds. This is a really nice buff for Corki, and you're going to be melting the enemy team with your package. However, it is tough to say if this will be enough to bring him back into the meta, so we'll have to wait and see. Lastly, for the mid lane, we have a few changes coming over to Galio. Galio's been struggling a lot in the meta thanks to some heavy nerfs. He was playable as an engaged support a few patches ago, but that has died down thanks to the likes of Nautilus and Leona completely dumpstering him in lane. For patch 10.3, Galio will receive a buff to his Q, Winds of War, which will have its tornado duration increased from 1.5 seconds to 2 seconds, and his damage ticks increased by 1 as well. This is a big change which will help Galio push waves and gain priority much faster. We will likely see him being played again next patch. Okay, now on to the AD carries. As of patch 10.2, Senna is currently a must-pick or ban champion in professional play. Her safety, range, scaling, and ability to impact fights across the map is just too valuable, and she's receiving some nerfs next patch. Firstly, her soul drop on minions that she doesn't kill will be changed from 20% to 25%. However, soul drops on cannon minions that Senna kills will be nerfed from 100% to 20%. This basically is a nerf to Senna ADC, but overall it won't really take her out of the meta. She'll still be incredibly powerful. Speaking of Senna, next up we have her husband, Lucian. Lucian is receiving an indirect nerf in patch 10.3. His passive will no longer crit for 100% damage on the second shot. Although this is just a bug fix, it will lower his damage output by a bit because this was a very common bug. Aphelios received some heavy nerfs in the previous patch, but it has become very clear that they weren't enough. Being able to one-shot someone literally on the other side of the map is really uninteractive and uninteresting. For patch 10.3, the Balance team will be limiting his range on Calibra marks to 2,000 instead of global. This was a much-needed change, and Aphelios would be a little bit less annoying to go up against. Miss Fortune's been dominating the bot lane meta for far too long and was way overdue for a nerf. Her damage is just insane right now, and almost no AD carry can keep up with her. For patch 10.3, MF will have her attack speed per level lowered from 3 to 2.25. This is a small change, but you'll be able to feel the reduced speed during the later stages of the game. She'll likely still remain in S or S+ tier next patch. Ever since the removal of Kleptomancy, Ezreal's been struggling to keep up in the meta. However, he will receive a few buffs to his base mana per level and attack speed per level next patch. These changes are great, and it'll help him output more damage during those fights. And lastly, on to the supports. Leona is the strongest support in the game right now and is finally being toned down next patch. Firstly, her W will have its damage lowered from 60 to 220 to 60 to 200. Next up, her E damage will be lowered by 10 at all ranks. These two nerfs are aimed at preventing her from being able to 1v1 the enemy ADC, but unfortunately they won't be enough to knock her out of the S+ tier status. Her engage potential, lockdown, and tankiness is still unmatched, and she'll continue to dominate the meta. Sona received a pretty big buff last patch, which made her become Sonic the Hedgehog whenever she used her E ability. However, the balance team have realized they went a bit too overboard with this change and are nerfing her in patch 10.3. Her E will now have its movement speed lowered from 25% with 4% per 100 AP to 20% with 3% per 100 AP. Not much to say about this one. Yumi recently received a mini rework which has made her a lot weaker than intended. For patch 10.3, the balance team are looking to make her viable again and are buffing her significantly. First up, her Q, Prowling Projectile, will have its mana cost change from 85 to 110 to 90 flat at all ranks. In addition to that, the empowered damage has been lowered from 50 to 275 to 45 to 220. However, as compensation, this ability will now deal 2 to 8 of the target's current health as bonus damage. Next up, her W, You and Me will have its CC lockdown duration lowered with CDR, and silences no longer counting as immobilizing CC. And lastly, her E, Zoomies, will have its healing change from 70 to 230 with 30% AP ratio to 70 to 190 with 40% AP ratio. All these buffs are super good for her, and we'll see her being played more often next patch. Get those bans ready. That's going to be it for our upcoming changes video in patch 10.3. Again, if you guys missed the update in the beginning, we are building a set, and look how cool it looks. We're going to film a lot of cool content on this stage. We're really excited to show you guys what we come up with soon, and you can stay tuned for that next week. If you guys enjoyed watching this video, then please hit that like, comment, and subscribe button to be notified of our next video. We'll be making sure to keep you guys up to date as fast as we can whenever new League of Legends news drops. And also, if you guys want to climb the ranks this season, then make sure to check out ProGuides.com using the description link below. You're going to see huge improvements to your rank. Our coaches there can seriously help you improve your game. That's going to be it for now. Thank you guys so much for watching. Good luck in your next few games, and I'll see you on the Rift.